definitely might need to turn the heat. I might have to go get my extender. If it does not want to hold up. Okay, are you going to be better by the window? Looks like probably yes. Maybe. Come on. I apologize, everyone. I keep having to reset. It because my screen gets stuck. And I don't have another way to check my internet. Yeah, and it gets stuck every time. I don't know what YouTube is doing different here, but it's okay. I think that might work. So just going to give it a few minutes here to hopefully stay connected. And if you're just now dropping in, welcome. Just trying to get my internet to connect here. So if you're here to receive the live, especially if you're coming here from Instagram or one of my groups, just drop in and let me know. I would love to know who's joining. And thank you for dropping in to receive. I really, really hope my connection's going to hold. I did not bring my extender, so we'll see. Just giving it a few minutes to connect everyone, so just bear with me. Just letting everyone drop in, and I'm also plugging up a heater, and I'm going to get started. Okay. It is a bit colder in here than I expected. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. My name is Éoaccí, and really excited to bring this through today. Everything that's been moving through in connection with myself and those that I am directly exchanging with is what feels like to be most present in the sacral and in the solar plexus. And there are some energetic currents that have been passing through that I feel could use a little, I don't want to say could use a little assistance, but I'm going to go into some overtoning. Overtoning, when you bring overtoning through, it's more than just a sound. Overtoning, especially, just like anything, especially with a deep space of internal awareness and wisdom, it brings the currents into a state of deeper coherence. So if you're just making a sound and you're not aware of your beliefs, your sound is going to carry those beliefs. It's going to carry the echoes of these karmic loops that are basically frozen in time. And so what my intention is to represent and reflect, what it's like to express the overtones from a deeper space of self-mastery and what that actually feels like. Because most of the time we'll hear a sound and it sounds good and we're moved by the way it sounds. But what my invitation is here is to allow yourself to experience the depth of feeling, which is where we're usually cut off from. We don't actually realize that we lack feeling because of the way that we normally feel. And of course, feeling is relative to the person, especially depending on your behavioral patterns and the karmic echoes that you carry. Those loops can actually prevent you from experiencing a deeper sense of feeling, and especially a sense of feeling that goes beyond the compartmentalization of the body. A lot of times that's how we feel, right? We identify with certain compartments of the body, but that's the way our meridians and our energetic lines are sanctioned. So I do hope that in this experience, we can open those gateways And we can not only experience the compartmentalization, but I do hope the fullness of the self as a pillar, as a singular unified experience. So basically what's been most present for me, what's been mostly in my awareness in connection with these karmic loops right now is actually been connected to the sacral, the sub chakras to the sacral, so the reproductive organs. Hello and welcome. The reproductive organs, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the digestive system, so going from the sacral into the solar plexus. So these organs have been getting my attention, especially my ovaries. I've had a lot of inflammation on the left side. Hello and welcome. Welcome, beautiful, beautiful souls. So grateful to have you here. And I am doing fantastic. How are you? So I am hoping that as we go into this overtone experience, we're going to open up these meridians and these sub chakras to allow any of the echoes to present themselves and clear, to harmonize, to bring into coherence. And I would love to answer that in just one moment, if you don't mind. I will return to that. That's actually a big aspect of what I invest myself in and what I practice is the question, to know thyself. Who am I? To know the ultimate I am. So with the overtones, so a lot of times, I'm not for sure if anyone's familiar with overtones, but it was just recently brought into my awareness that when I express my tones, it presents itself as an overtone. So basically, a lot of times when people hear a sound or a tone, they hear one note. So when I express my tones, you're going to hear multiple notes. So this is basically where, because each note is actually not just a singular wave, it's actually layered in we hear it as one sound, but it's actually multiple. It's actually multiple tones that present themselves as a chord. Okay, welcome, Carly. So happy to see you here, beautiful. So when you receive the chord, you're going to actually hear that it's layered. And the purpose of this is to give you a greater depth of experience vibrationally, where you're not just hearing it, but you're feeling it. So the chord is actually providing a deeper state of coherence. It's providing coherence, I feel, because when I became aware that I was able to express overtones, it was from a deep, deep going into the self to discover who am I, to understand myself, to know thyself. And that's a question that, in terms of what I practice, it's a day-to-day practice. So when I'm trying to understand who I am in every moment, I ask myself, what version of me is showing up right now? So I feel like in terms of, oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Carly. Yeah, I can hear that sound. I can actually hear that instrument when I express my tones. I can actually hear that, which is really interesting. It's really interesting. So to know thyself is to understand your patterns. So most of the time when we identify with the self, we think we're a name, we think that we're an action, we think that we're a birthday, we think that we might be a connection to a cosmic lineage or an ancestral lineage, a societal lineage, but that's not who we are. That's how we're identified, that's how we're categorized, but that's not who we are. So when I'm uncovering who I am, I'm understanding my behavioral patterns. So to know myself in this moment and to know myself in the next moment are going to be two different things. Not because the pattern is so drastically different, but because the pattern is consistently in motion, or if you're stuck in behavioral patterns that are economic choices, then the pattern's actually not moving. You're actually not experiencing anything different. You just have a belief that it's different because it looks different out here, but it's not different in here. So every single day, I go through a process of reviewing the way that I perceive myself in the world. So when you know who you are, you understand your self-concept. You understand why you process the vision that you have of yourself in the way that you do. You understand how you process the vision that you have of the world in the way that you do. And you process this differently each time you visit it. So, different scenarios. You guys want an example? Okay, so one of the biggest things that I have, shall we say, have been challenged by and struggled with is my relationship to my mother. And then I have my fur baby who's like my soul child, and I have a very deep attachment to him. He is basically my child. We fulfill the mother child archetype, if you will. So there's a deep, deep sense of love and connection that I have to him. So when there is a certain event, like he's afraid of thunderstorms, he's afraid of fireworks, and he won't go outside. He'll refuse to go outside and go to the bathroom. So for me, because I love him, I become concerned about what's going to happen to him if he doesn't go outside and go to the bathroom. The way that I view that is as an event, and that something's happening to him. And if certain actions don't fall into place a certain way, then something negative could come to pass. But that's actually an illusion, because there is nothing wrong. Nothing bad actually happens, and there is no external event. The event is actually in here. So when I choose to view him or the situation in that way, I'm actually choosing to view it through the lens of separation. Like, I'm here, he's there, there's an external event happening out there, and it's happening to him or it's happening to me. And that's an illusion, because an event is not separate from the perceiver. Whatever you perceive, you are actually transmitting, right? You're projecting it. And by the time you view it, by the time your awareness captures it, the belief, the pattern has already been in motion for some time. It's just recycling itself. So I get to know myself better by being aware of that first and foremost, and by secondly acknowledging that there's something for me to learn each time I capture something like that in my awareness. Why do I choose to go into that pattern? Why do I want to view it in that way? What makes me think in this moment that something bad's going to happen when I know deep down that nothing bad can happen? Well, because that was a behavioral concept that I have been picking up throughout my lifetime, right? Yes, absolutely a quantum event. And that's how we actually have the power. We have the inherent power to move between pathways of experience. But our nervous system is the one that caters that dialogue. Our nervous system is the one that's actually transmitting the electrical impulses that project the image for us to capture in our awareness. So you cannot project different images, nor can you experience energy differently if you do not re-dialogue and reparent your nervous system. So one of the things I tell those that I mentor is that, you're not born to anyone, nor do you, because we're not born and we don't die. So you're not born unto anyone. You're not actually born unto a mother and father. You're born unto yourself. And when you begin to recognize that and you begin to reparent yourself, you begin to see yourself, and you actually shift positions with your parents. I've recognized that with my mom in the relationship. I have switched positions. I am now in the position where I am patterning the conceptualization of our heritage, if you will, the bloodline. The bloodline is completely shifting because I'm choosing not to be reactive to events, nor do I perceive them as being external. So when an event shows up, the question is, what am I here to learn from it? Because I've already made the choice to see it. The choice has already been made. It's destiny, if you will. I'm here to understand why, like you've probably heard from the Matrix. And I know a lot of this is almost kind of recycled in terms of quantum mechanics and what's shared in the spiritual communities. But putting it into practice and reading it are two different things. And that's another thing that you've probably heard me share on here before, if you've tuned in, which is that truth is actually lived. So to have an experience, to have a recognition that I am the source, is different than reading and identifying with the words that I am the source. So to have the experience means to recognize that in every moment. to recognize that I am the supreme intelligence, I am the source, I am in control of everything, and I place everything exactly where it is meant to be, where I need it to be, so that I can learn from the moment. So that's how you know yourself. You know yourself by your patterns. You recognize your patterns, and then you start to see patterns in everything, and you understand what that pattern is showing you. And repattern yourself, you can also recognize higher dimensional patterns, which carry a depth of self. That's what higher dimension and higher consciousness is, right? It's depth of self. It doesn't mean you go up here anywhere, you go in here deeper. So I used to have a concept, an idea of what I thought a quantum leap looked like, or what I thought a quantum event looked like. Because until you actually put it into practice, everything is just an idea. It's a concept. It's a perceived belief that has yet to be lived. So when you begin to show up every single day and you ask yourself the question, you begin to understand who you are. You begin to realize how much power you really have. And then you start to think for yourself. When you start to think for yourself, you cannot be controlled, and you no longer live as this in this imposter syndrome, which is something I lived in for quite some time. 1 second, let me refresh this. Okay, there it goes. I had to get to my chat. So one of the questions here, bear with me, I had to refresh everything. One of the questions here, and I do hope my Wi-Fi is holding up okay, you guys. So I apologize if it's not. But the question was, do you believe that our real existence is beyond our body and mind? No, because our body is our existence, in terms of they are actually, when they become coherent, they are one and the same. So you are a supreme intelligence, and the supreme intelligence is the universal mind. It is the supreme, and nothing is separate from the supreme intelligence or the source. There is no separate or separation, which means that everything that's happening in your mind and in your body is already unified. You become coherent when you become aware of that. You come into coherence when you're actually aware of that. And then you begin to sync with your soul, and you begin to sync with your spirit when you're vibrationally coherent and aware. A lot of times that's how we become out of time or out of sync, because we happen through time. And many people think that they're aware of time, but time is awareness. Awareness captures the moment and understands why it's happening. That's an impression in time. Usually those impressions are made emotionally, where someone is emotionally charged, they're upset, or they're really excited. And by the way, welcome. However, when you begin to approach it from self-mastery, things are neutralized. So you're actually approaching the event from a neutral standpoint, but you leave an impression as the source. You begin to actually imprint the field of consciousness from a state of coherence instead of polarization. And that's where self-mastery is really it's really kind of what's taking we're beginning to lean into that right now as a collective. More and more are becoming inclined to invest themselves in something deeper than the surface level spirituality, which is basically where people are running into escapism, because their inner child wants to play make-believe because it has not learned who it really is. So it's attempting to identify itself through all these different avenues of experience. And when that's the case, then we talk about inner child play, but most aren't aware of the patterns of the inner child to begin with, and the play becomes a route of escapism instead of self-mastery. And no, religion plays in from the standpoint of, I have participated in religious experiences, and I have the experiential education of what that's like, but it does not control the way that I view myself or the world. if that makes sense. So, have I experienced different religions? Absolutely. Am I grateful for what they offer for those that are on that path? Absolutely, because for some, anyone that makes a choice, it's a predestined experience, and you're learning something from it, and that's the most important thing. So, in terms of even spirituality, there's still a lot that hangs in the collective psyche around that, around, because people think if they're practicing spirituality, much like religion, that they understand all the things that they're talking about. But understanding and knowledge they're gateways to meet one another, but they're not uniformly the same thing. A lot of times we retain a lot of knowledge, but that doesn't mean we have a deep understanding. There's not a bridge into how it applies itself in our day-to-day lives. And that's where I find, even I have my own experience of that prior to where I am right now, where I was retaining a lot of information. I was reading a lot of books. I was listening to a lot of, audible books. I was listening to a lot of podcasts, taking in a lot of courses, all the different things, the retreats, all the different things. But the one thing I realized is that, what am I going to do whenever I go back to my real life, right? Like, how does this translate? How does this translate to my day-to-day life? And that's when I started realizing that's where the whole bridge point of knowing thyself comes in. When you know thyself, you don't run into the different avenues of escapism. You begin to understand all the different concepts and ideas that you have gained along the way, and you begin to implement them in your day-to-day life. And that's when you actually start to live a more fulfilling life, because you understand why you do the things you do, and you are not seeking out of desperation, or you're not seeking out of survival. You're not seeking out of companionship. You're not consistently seeking to validate yourself through another person, through a location, through a course, through a class, through anything else. You no longer seek to find yourself. You find yourself in every moment, and then you're no longer chasing your own tail. You just simply enjoy the experience as it unfolds through you. That's the power of self-mastery. Okay, my love. So as we begin to transition into these overtones, a lot of what's come forward that I am just going to reflect upon really quickly, just a few major points here that I feel is necessary in as the reproductive organs were in my forefront in connection with the sacral. So as a collective, we identify with things in a very specific way. It's particular to us through our own upbringing, our friends, our relationships, our parents, our society, our culture, our religion, the different heritages that we have patterned ourselves within. These create a multitude of echoes in our meridians. And our meridians end up, basically, our nervous system is just giving us all these different feedback loops. And these feedback loops are consistently controlling how we feel. And in the sacral, one of the main parts of our sacral is feeling, receiving. And that is one of the things we've been cut off from, is actually our receiver lines. Our receiver lines, if you guys have probably heard me say this, if you've been here with me a while now, is our receiver lines have been shut off. We've been a mass projector, projecting our experiences, going through the cycles of repeating the echoes, repeating the karma. So basically stuck in these chambers, perceivingly stuck in these chambers of experience. No, when you start to think for yourself and you start to really open up the way that you feel, you start to recognize that how you've been feeling has been solely based in how you identify. So your identity, your character that you're playing right now identifies with feeling in a very specific way. When you begin to break through that threshold, you start to realize that feeling takes on a completely different meaning and scenario. It's not like so alien that you wouldn't recognize it right now, but you begin to become more aware. Your awareness is how you feel. When you're more aware of things, you feel more. When you start to feel more, you start to receive more. So what I would invite in for this experience is to simply surrender yourself to awareness so that you can surrender yourself to feeling. I'm simply going to be expressing the overtones. They are going to balance, neutralize, alchemize. They automatically offer coherence because of the embodied practices and wisdom that is a day-to-day part of my life. So I would invite in allowing yourself to express your own tones. You can just, oh, just making sounds to open up your lines. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and begin doing this, this can also ground you. Oh, by the way, really quickly before I get into this, for those of you that are directly connected to me, if you're receiving through me on Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp, I did offer some. I'm going to do some channeled codes that are directly connected to the meridians, the organs, and the overtones from this session. If you are interested in receiving a copy, welcome. You can drop that into the comments. I will have my email connected to this after it's all said and done. And you can email me and let me know. I will return to that email as soon as I'm done with channeling them, and I will send those to you. And everything, of course, is free, but if you would like to donate, it is more than appreciated since this is what I do every day, all day. So thank you so much. I just wanted to offer that. So please let me know. Again, just look for the email, and I will also have my Instagram that you can reach out to me on there if you're interested. And I can also drop my, if I can, I'll drop my WhatsApp in there, but I'll definitely have Instagram and I'll have my email if you're interested, and I will send those channelings to you. Okay, so as we begin to go in, the two major components to this today are going to be water and fire. Water is directly correlated to the sacral, fire to the solar plexus. Now, we automatically have the water of our body and the water in our environment. So the water carries information, as everyone knows. So one of the things that I would really love for each of you to do as we get started here is to drop yourself into a space of gratitude, because your cells and every droplet of water in your body is listening. Your cells are transferring the information right now to all the other cells, and to receive with a greater capacity. Gratitude is a beautiful gateway. So go ahead and begin the process of setting that up for yourself. And I have a candle here with some fire if you would like to tune into that, just to give you a point of reference, and becoming, also allowing your awareness to capture the truth that you are everything. You're everything. All of this right now, including the elements, is within you. You are the supreme. You are the source. You're simply playing the game that you're this little character running around. And because you're pretending to run around, you're pretending that there's a separate source that controls the outcome. There's a separate source that controls the elements. That's not true. Even nature is a byproduct of your creation. You have the power. You have the power to intertwine yourself in everything. You are already connected to everything. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. So give yourself permission to just accept that, connecting into the flame. Anything that you wish to leave behind, allow it to go into the flame. Simply dropping into the space, giving gratitude for the moment, giving gratitude for the feeling, and accepting the ultimate I am, which is I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grounded. I am worthy. So just take a few deep breaths for me, please. And as you're breathing, remembering your consciousness and your awareness is what is pulling the true breath of life into you. So with each breath that you are consciously aware of, you are actually integrating a powerful stream of energy and light into the cells, into the water. Placing that intention of gratitude into the cells, into the water. And I would just invite each of you to please proclaim out loud or in the comments, it does not matter. I accept, I receive, I accept, I allow. Opening the space for exchange to receive the overtones and the activation. And as you breathe in, allowing yourself to ground just simply through your awareness, that's all it requires. Becoming aware that there is energy moving through you, and you are already being pulled down to the core of the earth. And with each breath, feeling yourself anchor deeper. And becoming aware in the bottom of your feet as they suction to the ground. And if you don't, but you would like to, you can remove your socks, your shoes. Placing your feet on the ground will give you an opportunity to reconnect with that sensation if you would like a little assistance. And as you are breathing, bringing your awareness to the base of your spine. As we gently begin to open up the meridians. And as mentioned, vocalizing the tones will assist you in opening your own lines because you respond easier to your own tone. All right, let's just begin opening things up. Opening, opening, opening. And allowing yourself to drop your awareness deeper and deeper into your body. Feeling as you just melt and become nothing but space, nothing but vibration. Opening the root, opening the sacral, opening the solar plexus. And just allowing yourself to envision that you are shrouded in a sheath of white light or golden flame. And I would like for you to bring into your third eye the awareness of a golden flame with violet hues. allowing this flame to move from your third eye down to your heart and to expand. Just expanding the body, expanding the energy. Expanding. There we go. You may feel like you're growing, that your heart is opening, or for me, push my arms just kind of move out to my side, like something is pushing my shoulders back, is what it feels like. The current of my heart is pushing my shoulders back. All right. Now with that heart opening, just going to begin pulling things up from the sacral, the solar plexus, allowing the flame in the heart to purify and cleanse. And just taking a deep breath. Opening the space, opening the body. Opening the meridians, opening the organs, opening the body. And there it is in the sacral. You might begin to feel, it almost feels like a suctioning or hardening in the sacral and the abdomen. Or you might just feel some tingling, some warming sensations, or you could feel cooling sensation. And just taking a deep breath into the sacral, into the root, allowing it to expand. And becoming aware of anything that comes to the surface. You could have some emotions that begin to come forward. You could feel like crying. You could feel like yelling. That's okay. Let it out. Let it come forward, because the sacral and these organs is where a lot of those emotions are held. A lot of anger, a lot of aggression, a lot of denial, guilt, a lot of betrayal is held in the liver. It can also hold itself in the reproductive organs. And let's just that golden violet flame, meeting it into the sacral, pulling it down into the sacral, allowing it to expand. And calling forward the vibrational currency of you, of your self-mastery, of your self-worth, of everything that you love and accept within yourself, calling that forward, allowing yourself to feel that with unconditional acceptance, filling the space up with the worthiness of yourself. Opening and activating the sub chakras to the sacral, clearing. And then now we move into the solar plexus. Expanding. And now allowing that flame to move into the solar plexus. And we will, after we finish with this flame, we do have some, what I would say is maybe some technology, some vibrational technology that will be implemented. Expanding the solar plexus. Just taking another deep breath. Allowing it to move up. And it has a very interesting feeling. Starts opening and clearing. It almost feels like there's like something is going into the space vibrationally and filling the space with almost this feeling of security. It just feels very vibrationally secure. I always feel like I have a 12 pack when I'm experiencing this, because it feels like armor. It feels like energetic armor, and it's just layering itself and layering itself and layering itself. So you may feel the layering, and it may begin to feel similar to that as well. Yeah. And just doing a scan. Okay, we're going to move some lines. So just doing a scan. Seeing if there's any space that still feels stuck. Now moving the lines up from the root through the hips and pelvis, up into the solar plexus, expanding out through the heart. I feel a very, very definitive line anchored very, very solidly in the root. And in this space, my spine almost feels like water. And I feel like I'm floating. I'm curious how everyone is feeling at this point with the tones. If you feel like anything is still stuck, or you have any specific area you would like for me to focus on, please drop that into the comments. Everything is feeling really good to me in the sacral and the solar plexus. And I just want to check in with everyone before we go to this next wave. Let me know if you have any area that feels that it might need some specific attention. If not, then we will go ahead and move into the next wave. Opening, activating pineal, Opening, activating thymus, opening, activating thyroid, opening, activating lines. And I would like for you to take a deep breath. And I would like for you to feel yourself going even deeper into your body. And I would like for you to bring into your awareness the atom. You don't have to know what it looks like, but this atomic library. Just acknowledging that you know what the atom is and that you know what the atom looks like. Just bringing that word into your awareness, the atom. I would invite you to see how that word begins to unlock for you when the following sounds and tones and light language begins to express. I would like for you to see how that word unlocks. Maybe it takes on a shape, maybe it takes on a sound, a color, but the atom is your library of infinite. All that you are is housed within the atom. Your sound assists in unlocking it and allowing your libraries of self-mastery to come forward. The wisdom, the moments that are held in coherence and harmony. So bringing the atom into the awareness. Ikuyana sikiata yamatai ukuyata yasikiata marai kiatari madiata kuriata ishina marare siata marare siata marare siata marare siata marare irukuyana mare siata maria siata te rukushia maria sia maria sia maria sia allowing the wisdom of the atom to unlock. And as you find yourself in the presence as the atom, as the wisdom, as the source, as the library of infinite knowledge, allow yourself to experience the feeling, the imagery, whatever comes forward. Drop deeper and deeper into the stream of your own self-awareness. That's a powerful one. Holy crap. That tone definitely unlocked some stuff. I felt lightheaded, and then just this wave washed over me, and it's very, very powerful. Allowing the tone to unlock the vibrational signature. And as you find yourself interlocked in the wisdom of the atom is at the basis of all creation. It is the signature, it is the building block, it is the movement. This is where the only movement exists, is in the atom. As you interlock with the atom as the source, as the atom, becoming aware of the wave that you are, the vibration that you are. And we are going to move from this space, repatterning through tone and vibration, repatterning. What I'm hearing are certain signal variants where certain let's say the main frameworks of the pattern is transmitted. The very first one is going to be in the mouth. The tones, the light language, the sound that is coming forward is going to repattern, clear, cleanse, reformulate the structure, and hopefully it will harmonize and bring into coherence, clearing out any of the mucus, clearing any of the film that is carrying an imprint of judgment, deceit, projected anger, all the heavier vibrational tones. And we would like to clear this from the mouth and the third eye. And I call in and acknowledge the connection to the 6D Ka body to translate and to channel all relative vibrational tones. Allow yourself to imagine that you are putting a mouth guard in, that you are receiving a mouth guard in the top and in the bottom. Taking a deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. Yes, so koya na na ni na ma shi a to ya si 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 ta 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 ti ta 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 ti ta 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 ti ta 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 ti ta 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 ti ta 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 ti ta 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 and just resetting. I'm actually also feeling that in the heart, which is that direct line. So you may feel it in the chest. You may feel it in the crown. And next, coming down into the heart, expanding. Yeah, that's really opening up in the cheek area. I can feel it. There's a lot. And coming down into the chest, expanding through both shoulder blades, activating each shoulder blade point. Man, that's actually even hitting me through my legs and my sternum. And I'm even feeling it even in my face from that line. It's coming out through the shoulders and through the face. And my hip just popped. So there's a lot opening. It's passing down through the hips as well. And the arms. And then down from the heart, we would come back into the connection with the sacral solar plexus and root, and interlocking that with the mouth. Some of the main points that are being, shall we say, interlocked on the way are going to be the front of the chest, back of the chest, each hip, left and right side, down into the base of the feet. Just doing a scan. Don't know about you guys, but I can feel it from my face down to my feet. Ooh, my hands are getting nice and toasty warm from this. All right, we're going to do some singular tones. Shall we say these are very broad with bandwidths to close this out. And then we will ground. That one's really opening up from the root, moving up through the heart. That one's definitely following a Kundalini path, it feels like. Front and back. It's lifting me up off my seat. Just breathing deeply into the tone. Each of these have their own characteristic and they will have their own unique experience with them. That one's pushing me back. And these are full. Very beautiful. And we'll do one more and then we will close it out. And as you can hear, there's at least 3 layers, 3 to 4 layers with each of these. And that one's expanding and opening. So we got from root to crown with one wave. We've got pushed back and going top to bottom with another, and then beginning in the heart, expanding and enveloping. Grounding, grounding, anchor, 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 anchor. So anchoring it all in, anchoring it all in. Here we go, pulling it all in. And just resting in the same gateway that we entered in, which is gratitude, just standing in the state of I am grateful, allowing the water in your body to receive that statement. The flame from the candle is purifying anything that does not harmonize with gratitude. Okay. Everything feels very whole and very complete from this point. Thank you all so very much. Just take a few deep breaths to allow yourself to fully anchor back in, allowing yourself to come back with your eyes open. Just a few deep breaths. And thank you. I do hope that these tones activated, balanced, and harmonized any area that you may have required that. The sacral, I can definitely feel the sacral and solar plexus feel far more stabilized, far more balanced, beautifully secure in the vibrations of coherence and harmony. It just feels like, the whole body is abuzz with peace and prosperity. So thank you all for joining me again. I am so grateful to have you here. I will be linking in the description the email. Give me just a few days here to get the channelings completed for what comes through. And if you are interested, I will send those to you as a follow-up support to connect you deeper into the clearing, the balancing, and the harmonization that took place. And it's just something you can consistently revisit as a visual. And that visual basically brings you back to it's basically like a still point reference to harmonize and balance. And you can also place your own intention into it. You get to basically interweave whatever is necessary for you into that visual so that you can then ingest it through your intention, consume it back into your body. And thank you so much, Carly. Thank you. You get to consume it back into your body vibrationally by intentionally declaring what it is you want to receive from that visual. So thank you all for joining. I am so grateful. I will have all that information linked in the description. And if you would like to work with me personally, or if you would like to join my group space, you can also inquire about that in the email, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. So thank you so much. Until next time, Adonai.